Get ready to have some fun here tonight, boys and girls. Welcome inside a Watch DA Live, another Sunday night edition. And thanks for being patient with me tonight because the Bourbon Bell is out of town. I'm watching the Homestead tonight, and so thus yours truly had to put AJ down for bed himself. That's right. This is a do-it-all sportscaster, not only giving you piping hot takes and incredible insight, but also dadding on a Sunday. And dadding meant that AJ usually goes to bed around 7, pushed it to 7:15, got him to bed around 7:20, had to cook up the late night bottle, had to make sure we were good to go on the air, had to connect with Jack, who is running tonight's Watch DA Live, and now we are here. So thanks for being patient. Slight delay. Usually we go a half hour earlier, but that was not going to work with AJ's bedtime. Anyway, coming up, if you are caught or you know somebody caught in the web of youth sports and the ridiculousness that is now upon parents and families and kids, stick around because I had a great conversation this week for Q&DA with Jonathan Carone, who has an entire website and social media series dedicated to this, and we'll play the best of it coming up here shortly. And we also have your Exhale cocktails as well. My Exhale cocktails also will be featured. So stick around for that. Let me just remind you that we have a Ask DA Live coming up on Friday. That's right, Ask DA Live on Friday. That's going to be 8-8. I promised you guys after 7-7 at 7 o'clock, we do 8-8. It's a Friday night. I don't know if that's good or bad for your schedule. I don't know if it's good or bad for my schedule, but we're going to do it because it's 8-8, and we're going to try to keep this rhythm going, okay? So at 7 o'clock on Friday night on August the 8th, we'll do the Ask DA Anything. Literally everything is on the table. And if you watched week 1 or month 1 or chat 1, which was in July, you know we delved into some things that I probably could not talk about otherwise. It's a members-only chat. And so get involved by joining. Up above me, there is a link that you'll see, a little button that says join, or in every one of these videos, you will see the URL. You can copy and paste that into your browser and join that way. For the cost of less than a chicken sandwich, you'll be able to ask me anything, and I will probably be sipping on some cocktails, and so I am prone to be a little bit more honest than I even should be, but this is a members-only exclusive series that we have going on so that we know we have a tight family and it won't be aggregated and news made out of it. And so I know I can be safe with you guys and be truly honest and let it all hang out. And so there is really a raw feel and vibe of the whole thing. We went an hour 40 minutes last time, nearly 2 hours. So you'll get your money's worth. Join to be a part of Friday night's Ask DA Live. All right? There you go. Also, any of the members get custom emojis, and you get your badges on this chat. And so you'll see blues and green DA faces in there. And custom emojis like stunned to a news and cinnamon berry. What could be better than being a member of this channel? All right, time now, Jack, to fire up the Furious Five. So the first thing in the NFL world seems to routinely be the Dallas Cowboys. And the Cowboys always know how to make headlines, namely Jerry Jones. And now you have two truly fierce beasts of the headline world, Jerry and Micah. And Godzilla versus Mothra, somebody's going to win the headline battle. We know Jerry loves the attention. We know Micah loves the attention. And now Micah has asked for a trade. This is a very interesting power play here. You have Micah who wants money, and Jerry saying, don't hold your breath. You have Micah then saying, well, then trade me. And Jerry saying, don't worry about it, fans. So how can each keep getting one over on the other? Micah Parsons did attend training camp this weekend, but he didn't really practice. He didn't have a helmet on, pads, was just kind of moving from drill to drill, throwing footballs and catching footballs out of the jugs machine. This is the single most perfect encapsulation of the modern Dallas Cowboys. You know, we don't have to go back far, but maybe for some it is. Tom Landry's Cowboys of the 1970s, who went to 5 Super Bowls, won 2 of them, and were routinely one of the best franchises in football for 20 years. At that time, they could make headlines. Hollywood Henderson certainly made headlines. But by and large, what it was somebody at the top, in this case, Tom Landry, who was all business all the time, taking the personalities of the guys that played for him, Too Tall Jones, Randy White. I just mentioned you have Hollywood Henderson, Drew Pearson, Tony Dorsett, Roger Staubach. Go down the list of superstars that could all draw attention themselves and had big personalities. Some of them certainly did. But a guy at the top that was all about business all of the time. They won, and they won a lot. Let's fast forward to the Cowboys of the 90s. Those guys made a lot of headlines. Those guys had a lot of players who loved making headlines. Michael Irvin, Deion Sanders, most of the defense, most of the offense. Everybody seemed to like to make news. There was the Emmitt Smith holdout. There was always something. Well, the guy at the top in Jimmy Johnson was all business. Now, he also had a personality. But when it was business time, it was business time, and it was winning time, and it was kicking ass time. Today's Dallas Cowboys have personalities, that's for sure. CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, go down the list. But what you have at the top is shaky head coaches who have to kneel and basically kiss the ring of the owner, Jerry Jones, and an owner that is not all about business. It's an owner that wants to feed his own ego and in many ways feels like attention equates to success, which of course we all know it doesn't. What you have here is the perfect encapsulation of why the Dallas Cowboys haven't been to the NFC Championship game, let alone a Super Bowl, in 30 years. It's this. It's that Jerry thinks pumping a bunch of coal into the attention furnace is somehow what you're supposed to do, or somehow is better that way. And that winning comes despite all of that. That's disconnected from winning. And what obviously he doesn't realize is that every time that you make news off of the football field, and you have, in Jerry's case, a leader that really isn't buttoned up when it comes to the football side of things, instead is kind of caught in his own self-aggrandizement, you don't have the structure to win. It is nearly impossible. One of the only times that it could win like that was the 95 Cowboys. When Barry Switzer was at the top, it was not a strong head coach, and tons of distractions down low and distractions up top, and Jimmy's gone and all of that stuff. The roster was so good, and there were still the expectations of the Jimmy years where you could get one last gasp out of it. But it quickly eroded and deteriorated. 96, 97, 98, they were a shell of their championship selves. This team can't win. You're watching why. It can't win. So if anybody in Dallas wants to believe that things can be different because the roster is good enough, they're sorely mistaken. If Cowboys fans across the country think that it doesn't matter, that this is all just what Jerry always does, they're sorely mistaken. And if the Dallas Cowboys players themselves think there's so much talent around here that we can win anyway, they're sorely mistaken. What you are watching is the very reason they can't win. It is impossible when you don't have a winning culture to continually survive this stuff. And there's more stuff still to be had. All right, next up on the Furious Five, we were talking a little Terry McLaurin here, and Terry wants a trade himself. I am virtually positive that the Washington Commanders are going to give McLaurin his money. Because the Washington Commanders are in the business of Jaden Daniels. And the business of Jaden Daniels requires weapons and the accumulation of more talent, not a setback in year two because you lose a guy like McLaurin. So what Terry's doing in this case is probably smart. The Commanders have an ownership that's going to end up paying because they want to keep the winning going. They've got an ownership that is right now staked to Jaden Daniels. There is the vestiges, the echoes of Robert Griffin III, RG3, and this kind of potential that went poof and imploded and dissipated. And nobody that's part of the Commanders today wants that to repeat. And so Terry McLaurin is going to end up getting paid. There's no doubt in my mind. And for Jaden Daniels and for the Commanders, for Dan Quinn and that offense, for all of the success that they had last year, now they don't have the luxury of sneaking up on anybody. It is not a surprise. They are a trendy pick to once again make the postseason, perhaps compete for the division, go deep in the playoffs, and now it's what can you do for an encore? All of that means McLaurin is going to get re-signed. And if you're a Commanders fan, this is such a different reality because you have real expectations. You have a real ownership and you have a real quarterback. And because of that overarching definition of the new Commanders, the new Washington football organization, they got to pay Terry. There's no way around it. Next up in the Furious Five, can we talk a little WNBA for a moment here? Throw it back. Throw it back. Wouldn't it be wonderful if the items, the objects being thrown onto the floor twice this week alone at WNBA games could be treated almost like a reverse home run at Wrigley Field hit by a visitor, right? When the ball goes out, it's the bleacher bums at Wrigley that throw it back. In this case, the bleacher bums are throwing them on the floor. I'd love to see Sophie Cunningham. I'd love to see any member of the WNBA team that has been involved in these two incidents over this week pick it up and throw it right back. Oh, yeah? You have it. Throw it back. Throw it back. While the WNBA would like to make headlines based on its basketball and based on the X's and O's, the WNBA has this amazing knack for making news that has nothing to do with the basketball. And that's not a bad thing. It really isn't. It's not a bad thing. I know that people are tired of the Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese stuff. I realize that those that make that racial can be exhausting and fatiguing and annoying. I know talk about whether the WNBA deserves more revenue or charter flights or a new television deal, all of those things. Yeah, maybe you don't want to talk about the money. Maybe people don't want to hear about those types of collective bargaining thoughts. But boy, does the WNBA do it well off the floor. The outfits of the players walking into the arenas, the animosity between teams and players, stars. And now we have inanimate objects, perhaps UFOs, unidentified flying objects, being thrown onto the floor, and everybody going, shh, what is it? It's Jenny, cover your eyes. You don't want to see this. Throw it back. Throw it back. Oh, gosh. Today, an American icon turns 100. That's right. On August the 3rd, 1925, in the heart of the roaring 20s, Marv Levy was born. And I'm just going to take this moment to wax poetic about truly an American icon. He's not just the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. He is so much more. First of all, anybody that reaches triple digits, a salute, right? I mean, triple digits is no joke. Triple digits is legit. Triple digits, you have seen some things. When you look at those last two numbers of your birth year, they match up with today's numbers or the day that you turned 100. And then you turn back the clock and you think about how the first two numbers are different than the first two numbers today and just what that means. What was 1925 like compared to 2025? Think about the things that Marv Levy or anybody that's turned 100 has seen. The Roaring 20s, the Great Depression, World War II, the 50s, the space race, disco, the 80s, the 90s, cable television, streaming, the internet, microwaves, self-driving cars, and now commercial space flight, AI. Think about how far Marv Levy has come. In 1925, there wasn't an NFL. Or what we would consider the NFL was basically like two teams that would survive. It's the Packers, the Bears, the Giants, and a bunch of teams that would never last. And think about today and where the game is. He almost has lived the length of the league. He also has had this amazing career and life where, as a head coach, he went to 4 consecutive Super Bowls. Nobody's ever done that. He's a Pro Football Hall of Fame head coach. He's a guy who also won multiple CFL titles in the Canadian Football League back in the 70s. Okay? He's a guy that went to get his master's degree in English from Harvard. It's not like online courses back then. This guy had to get on campus at Harvard and earn a master's in English. And on top of it, enlisted to become part of the Air Force during World War II. In what was the Army Air Corps, the predecessor to the Air Force. That's right, Marv Levy is so old, he wanted to become part of the Air Force before the Air Force. This man is an American hero. This man is one of the most accomplished people in football history, both football-wise and off the field. And the fact that he's still with us is incredible. He is still completely coherent. He is with it. He speaks eloquently about football, about the Bills, about life. This man should be heralded every chance that we get. And I just think that today, when he reaches 100, there should not only be a focus on, boy, was he a great head coach, but what a great American he has been. And let me also just add this. No other coach could have led a team to 4 Super Bowls, all of which were crushing defeats. Okay? Sorry, Bills fans. I'm going to go under the hood for a moment here and really pick this thing apart. Number one, we all know the first Super Bowl loss, Super Bowl 25 to the New York Giants. They were heavy favorites and losing the Scott Norwood wide right kick. Hard to come back off of that. You're there, you're at the precipice, and the kick goes wide right when you're a heavy favorite. Somehow they rebound and have another excellent season in 1991. You have now reached the summit again. You have gotten through to the Super Bowl. And now you have some experience. Not only do you lose, but you get your absolute butts handed to you by one of the great teams of the 1900s. Yes, I'm telling you, the 1991 Washington football team is one of the greats in NFL history. Go down the list, the offensive numbers that they set, the blowouts that they had in the playoffs, this team had absolutely everything. Okay? So now you have your butts handed to you, and Thurman Thomas somehow loses his helmet early in this game. Now, in 1992, you have to try to rebound after 2 devastating losses, and you do it. And in 92, okay, you have to come back and do it as a wild card because the Dolphins win the division. And somehow the Bills do it. Okay, and this is where Jim Kelly gets injured and Frank Reich is in. There's a backup quarterback in the wild card game against the Oilers. You trail by 31 points, and somehow, someway you get through that. You go on the road in the divisional round and in the AFC Championship game in Miami, and you somehow get back there. And when you get back there, Jim Kelly's not 100%, and you are now facing, again, one of the greatest teams in NFL history in the 1992 Dallas Cowboys, who put 52 points on you. How can you possibly keep coming back from all of that? And then in 1993, when everybody doesn't want to see you back in the Super Bowl again, you somehow get there, you get back to the Super Bowl, you face the Cowboys again and have a lead at halftime. And it all evaporates in the second half and you lose yet again. And Marv Levy was the guy that had all these little proclamations, wordplay slogans for that team to keep focused and keep locked in. When you have hotheads like Jim Kelly, Bruce Smith, Andre Reed, go down the list, Darryl Talley, there were plenty of moments that team could have frayed. It wasn't just talent. And Marv kept them together and focused. Marv kept bickering and kept it as much as he could in-house. Contract bickering, unhappiness. He kept a lot of that tight. And when it happened, he found a way to get that player, like Bruce Smith, who was unhappy with his contract, once again locked in. Marv was the guy that basically was able to convince Jim Kelly to stay because Jim didn't want anything to do with the city of Buffalo. Marv was a genius in getting them to refocus. And because they lost 4 Super Bowls, he is not given the proper credit that he deserves. He is thankfully in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. There's no way that team gets to 4 Super Bowls without Marv Levy. Marv is an American hero, and I salute him. We should all salute him. By the way, it should be noted that I am going to begin a weekly series about the Buffalo Bills right here on YouTube because this is the final year of their old stadium. And think about the history. This is the perfect transition to the history of the Buffalo Bills. You're going from the rock pile and the AFL to O.J. Simpson and the Election Company in the 70s, to Joe Cribbs in the 1980s and Joe Ferguson, to the 90s of those teams that went to 4 Super Bowls, to the lost 2000s of Drew Bledsoe and Marshawn Lynch, to the 2010s and 20-teens and Josh Allen into the 2020s, and now knocking on the door of the Super Bowl. So much of that has happened to that stadium. And every week I'm going to dissect the Bills' history throughout this entire year. And perhaps this is the year that they finally break through. They've got their first preseason game coming up at the end of this week. And so after that game, you'll see the first of an entire season-long series right here on my YouTube channel about the final season of the Buffalo Bills and whether this is the year they can finally do it. And finally, speaking of the history of the NFL, we got to talk about the Hall of Fame ceremony this weekend. The NFL does the Hall of Fame really well. The Hall of Fame game was nothing special as the Chargers, obviously, and the Lions played an incredibly boring game, a blowout game. But when they do the ceremony, when they do the inductions, it's truly special. You had Antonio Gates welling up, talking about playing with Phillip Rivers as Rivers was there to watch the induction. But the truly special one was Sterling Sharp and Shannon Sharp, the first ever brothers in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Now, think about how remarkable that is to not only have one son in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but both sons in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And these two brothers who grew up playing in the backyard with one another end up both being two of the greatest of all time. And I'm glad that Sterling Sharp finally got his due. Those Packers teams of the late 80s, early 90s were some of my favorites before they won a Super Bowl in 1994, or 1996, rather. I was a huge Don Majkowski fan. That 89 Packers team, God, that was fun. And Sterling Sharp started doing things that modern wide receivers would end up replicating farther down into the 90s and 2000s, but he was doing them in the late 80s, early 90s. He's catched 110, 115, 120 passes. At that point in time, that was absolutely unfathomable. Unfathomable. And doing so for a team that played outdoors on grass in Green Bay, Wisconsin, although some of those games were in Milwaukee, but you get it. I mean, that was not passing weather. And Sterling Sharp was an absolute monster, a beast. He was great in traffic. He was strong. Man, was he strong. He could go up and get it, pull it down, fend you off, and keep going. He was dynamic, had great hands. I loved watching Sterling Sharp play, and he didn't get the credit he deserved for a long time because of injuries, the neck injury, the spinal injury, cutting short his career. But he finally got it, and he is incredibly deserving. And watching him well up with tears and bringing Shannon up there as well. And those two guys crying together on stage as they both share gold jackets. Man, was that cool. Was that cool. And the NFL, the Hall of Fame inductions, they always strike a chord with me. But this year, they really did. It really, really did. I'm not sure if we'll ever see that again. Two brothers, two different positions, enshrined in the Football Hall of Fame together. Absolutely sensational. That is your Furious Five tonight. Every single night that we do this, we always do the top 5 stories of the sports weekend, and that's a lot of football right there. But football is here, and when we get to the NFL season, we will do this on Sunday nights prior to Sunday Night Football at this time, 7:30 Eastern time. And so after your day's worth of football, tune in here for complete coverage, all my takes, thoughts, immediately after it happens of the day of football and before Sunday Night Football kicks off, so you won't miss a snap of the games. Youth sports is in a interesting spot right now. It is ballooned into a mega industrial complex. And I've got friends who have kids who are playing in this. I've got listeners who reach out to me all the time, and they are caught in this no man's land of youth sports where there's demands on pressure, there's demands on time, there's demands on money, there's demands on expectations, there's all of this. And I wanted to talk to somebody who I think is doing a really great job of extending kind of a talking stick, if you will, to parents that are feeling a certain way about this. They're feeling pinched. His name's Jonathan Carone, and he's a really smart guy. He spent a number of years as an administrator in Division I college athletics. He's been at the youth sports level in a lot of different capacities. He's a parent himself of children who have played youth sports, are in the middle of playing youth sports, and he's trying to kind of dissect what has gone wrong here and how parents and kids can find a healthy way to navigate all of this. His website and social media channels have picked up more than 50,000 followers just since January. There's a lot of parents out there that are desperate for answers. I did a long-form, nearly 1-hour conversation with him for Q&DA this week. That's available right now. If you haven't watched it yet, I really encourage you to either watch it if you've got a child that's in youth sports, or perhaps you know other parents that are in youth sports in this kind of spider web, and they'd love to hear somebody else talking about all the pitfalls of it. Certainly share it. I thought it was such a fantastic conversation. Let's play here, okay, a clip of Jonathan Carone. And I think that what you will see and what you will hear from him is kind of enlightening stuff. And I think that we'll all kind of get a lot out of it. So stick with me right here as Jonathan Carone joins me. Here's a short clip. Back in our day, and I grew up in the 80s with Little League Baseball, you know, if you played travel, your travel was to 2 to 3 towns over. If you traveled farther than an hour away, I mean, that was a huge thing. You might be playing in a state tournament.
Right.
Today, travel means when you grow up in my area in the Hudson Valley, New York, you're going to San Antonio, or you're going to Baltimore, or you're going to Dayton, or it's like travel means, and then not only are the kids going, travel means the whole family goes. Travel means we're flying and getting hotels, and everybody is caravanning or flying. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that now has created a totally different pressure. Because when I traveled 2 towns away, my parents could have come. They didn't have to come. When you're flying across the country, well, now you have a financial investment. You have an emotional investment. You have a family investment. You have a time investment. You have investment away from your job as a parent. And you have to make decisions to get your kid to go to that tournament versus might be what's best for the household. So that just upended the pressures and the anxieties and the insecurities of like, should I not? Do I have to? If I have to, what do we do? And then the kids must succumb to some type of pressure. I have not spoken to kids at this level, just my friends who are parents. But what does it do to a kid knowing that the family just dropped 8G and it's because I'm playing center field in this baseball tournament? That can't be an easy thing.
Well, so I put a reel out today. There's a trend going around that where parents will post a picture of them and their kid walking to the field, or their kid walking to the field, and they have their backpack with all their gear on it, and says, if you're carrying a mortgage on your back, then you better be putting in a mortgage worth of effort. And
think about that on an 11-year-old.
Yeah, that's a joke. I understand the joke, and it's a funny joke. I'm okay laughing at that. But the underbelly, the yucky underbelly of that is we're paying for these things for our kids, and we're expecting them to do it. And so
to pay off in some way.
There's a couple sides of this, because like most things in life, so much of it is nuanced. Like, I'm willing to spend some money on my kids' desires, and I expect them to put an equal amount of effort into what it costs. But if I'm the one driving the boat, putting them on that team, and it's not their desire, why am I putting that pressure on them? I chose that for them out of fear that they're going to fall behind. If they chose and said, hey, Dad, I'm really loving soccer right now. I'd like to get better. Can we do private lessons? Can we join another team? And they came to me and was like, all right, cool. The cost of that, the local club, is X dollars per year. I'm willing to do it. You just got to commit that you're going to put that much work into it. Sure. Let's go do it, Dad. I'd love to do that. Then it's the kid driving the bus. But if I signed my kid up for a travel team, even the local ones, because there are local levels of travel, like the lowest levels of travel are just glorified recreation, traveling to other towns now. So like, even if you're only traveling an hour for that lowest level of travel ball, that's still a commitment. And if you put your kid in that without them driving the bus because you're doing it out of fear, you're the one who chose to pay the mortgage. They didn't choose it. You're the one who, they asked to get the bat that costs $500, but they also asked to eat ice cream every night. And at what point is it our role as the parent to say, no, we're not doing that. We're not getting, I know your friends have that bat, but you don't need a $500 bat every single season. I'm sorry. Like, at some point, that's on us. And you haven't talked to kids, but there was a study done that quantified what fun is in youth sports, according to kids. And the things that were fun were playing with your friends and earning playing time and trying hard. Those were the things that listed at the top. Gear, wins, those things, those were much, much lower. So when we think about what makes sports fun, so often it's just playing with their buddies. Like I interviewed Wake Forest's men's soccer coach last week, and he has a 9-year-old right now. His 9-year-old is still playing recreation because his 9-year-old friend still wanted to play recreation soccer. He was good enough to go to the academy level, whatever it is, but his buddies were still playing recreation, and he's 9 years old. So he wanted to keep playing with his buddies.
Kind of caught in the crosshairs. Sorry, my mic was muted there. I was just saying we're caught in this really weird time where parents are caught saying, well, we have to dedicate this money. We have to dedicate this time. We have to travel to this tournament. We have to do this because if we don't, then my son or my daughter's going to fall behind. Then thus they won't make varsity, or they have to play for this coach of the travel team because then they can't move on if they don't. And my kid wants to play with that group of kids because that's the travel teams they played with. But I've got to take off Thursday and Friday from work every couple of weeks, and I don't have a chance to do that. And we don't really have this money because it should be going to other things. And all for sports, all for youth sports. And we go into a conversation about the statistics. We led off the conversation as Jonathan gave me the numbers on the kids that play youth sports. The kids that will ever play professionally. Wait till you hear that number. That will ever play college. Forget by scholarship. Just play in college, not Division I, at any level of college. And then how many kids in youth sports even make it beyond the age of 13 playing sports? You hear these numbers and then you connect it to how much money is being spent on these kids, being asked for by their parents. It will send shockwaves. Check out the conversation. It was really, really good to catch up with Jonathan. Glad we got a chance to do it. So that's this week's Q&DA, and there's also an exclusive members-only raw feed video that accompanies that, as we always do with the Q&DA. Members-only video. Make sure you are a member to click on all of those. It dives into why I'm passionate about this and why I feel like youth sports needs a correction here and quickly, and why I feel like it's really unfair that parents keep getting manipulated by the market forces. Also, speaking of the members, not only do we have an upcoming Ask DA Anything on Friday, but also when it comes to members, we have custom emojis, and we need 2 more members this week to get a new custom emoji next week. We need 2 more of these, okay? So make sure that you are signed up. Make sure that if you're not signed up, if you are signed up, that you find somebody that is not. So we get 2 more this week. We get a new custom emoji, and I'm taking all types of suggestions. On Friday night, we will whittle them down to the best, and we'll decide in that Ask DA Anything what the new custom emoji is going to be. All right? So there you go. Click on this button above me for join, or below me, you'll see the description and the URL that you can copy and paste into your own browser. There you go. All right, so this is kind of cool. You know, we always do the exhale cocktails during the fall, what you're drinking, what you're eating as you end up watching a little bit of football, you know. And this week I was up in Saratoga, which is a few hours north of me, for little horse racing. Now, I'm not the biggest horse racing guy, but I love Saratoga. It's the oldest racetrack in America, I think. It also has not only, you know, such a great vibe and electricity, but so many, you know, it's such a communal place. It's a place where you can bring in your own cooler of beer. It's just amazing. No glass is allowed, but you can bring in cans of beer, wheel in your cooler, as many as you want, sit at a picnic table, and throw $1 or $2 on every race or every pony or whatever, and just have a truly kind of like regular old school time. I mean, when was there ever a time that you could wheel in a cooler of your own beer to a major sporting event? It has been a long time. So I just love going there because it's so kind of like carefree. And yeah, of course, there's the people that dress up and take it real seriously, but there's also the group of people that are just there to throw $1 on the horse or $5 on the horse that they like their name. So this week I went up to Saratoga and I had a bunch of friends that were there, and I want to send up the first Exhale cocktail of the week. Okay. And there it is. Yeah, I went upstate New York, and so the Labatt Blue Light was delicious. It was fresh. And my friends were staying at this old school historic hotel called the Gideon Putnam. And they had old school rotary payphones. Okay. This was kind of like going to the lobby and you could experience the old school payphone. These payphones must have been from the 40s or the 50s. I mean, look at that thing. So I said, well, I got my cooler of beer here for the track. Let me pour one out and enjoy it in the lobby in front of a rotary phone. So there you go. That was my Exhale cocktail. And then as I'm walking down the street later in the day after the track, what do I see but this? And this made me feel like I was in the right spot. That's a Labatt Blue Light bus. That's right, a Labatt Blue Light bus. So there you go. What I'm talking about, that truly is the type of thing that I think we can all get on board with. The bus had my beer of choice on it. That is amazing. Now, you can send us your Exhale cocktails every single week by tweeting at us, me specifically, at Damon Amendo, on Instagram as well, at Damon Amendo. Tag me there. Follow me in either one of those places. And you can certainly hit me up. And as we get towards the football season, we're going to start putting all those Exhale cocktails into the show as well. But with Aiden out, we've got young Jack Knight in. And Jack is the youngest diaper alien in the history of this show, both my radio show or this show. He is 18 years old. He's a recent high school graduate. He'll be attending Syracuse in the fall. He reached out to me knowing that I was an alum and said, DA, I'm trying to get my foot in the door doing anything and everything. Do you have any work for me? And I said, yes, plenty of it. Glad you reached out to me, Jack. And so Jack tonight is going to be doing his very own grades from the MLB trade deadline. That's right. What we have tonight for you guys is an exclusive. This is Night School Grades with Jack Knight. Jack, how we doing today, buddy? Good to see you.
We are doing great. A great show tonight. 365 strong. A packed crowd. A lot of comments. Can't ask for much more.
That's right. And so tonight we've got your aces. What teams? Give me two teams, Jack, that ace the test of the Major League Baseball trade deadline.
I've got one contender and one seller that really stood out to me. I'll start with my contender, the Philadelphia Phillies. Any Phillies fans in the chat here? You guys did amazing. You acquired closer Johan Duran, a top-tier closer in the league, but also a top-tier pitching walkout entrance. Citizens Bank Park will be rocking in October. He's got a sub-2 ERA right now. Fantastic. In addition to that, Harrison Bader, veteran outfielder, makes the big plays come playoff time. His bat has gotten stronger, and you got to keep your top pitching prospect, Mick Abel.
Okay, so you got a couple of A's there. Very good job. When it comes to all these grades, we know we can't just have the passing. We have to have the failing as well. Who are the fails? Who got the Fs this past week?
I'm going to say my contender fail is the New York Yankees. They got three relievers. That made the headlines. They got Camilo Duvall, David Bednar, Jake Bird, three good players, but it's not going to fix their defense. Ever since the World Series, everyone knows they dropped the baseball and it all started spinning out of control. They have not been able to play clean fielding. There were shortstops on the market. There were outfielders on the market, But instead, they chose to just throw more relievers at the situation, which is not going to work. Plain and simple.
Okay. And it makes you feel so happy as a Red Sox fan.
Well, they didn't do anything either, but I mean, I could do a whole hour show on that.
All right. Any other Fs?
Another F for me. Pretty simply, Minnesota Twins. You sell off everyone. You sell off 10 or 11 if you're counting the RR, major league ball players, but you keep the top trade target you had, starting pitcher, ace pitcher, Joe Ryan. 5 teams reach out to you. You keep him. So he's sitting there in Minnesota with all his buddies gone, sitting now on a horrendous rebuilding team.
Okay. 2 Fs, 2 As. Jack is coming for you guys. All you MLB general managers, make sure that you steer clear of the fire of Jack Knight because he's grading you and he's failing you. And if you fail Jack's night school, you're out of here. Nice job, Jack. Okay, I wanted to go over some comments here tonight, okay, everybody? Let's get to some comments because we got to make sure that we have the beam-ups ready on the night. And when it comes to the beam-ups, I'll tell you, I'm loving what I'm seeing. We got some new, fresh meat in here as well. And I want to make sure that we always encourage you guys to weigh in and be loud. And when we have fresh meat in here, new voices, make sure you welcome them in and let them know that this is the place to be on Sunday nights, okay? So here you go. I'm going to go through some of my favorites that I've been watching on the show here tonight. And Jack, why don't we take down that the beam me up, lower third, so we can see a little bit clearer. There you go. DA, I got nothing going on Friday night, so I'm okay. That's good. That's when we have the Ask DA Anything coming up on Friday night. I said if you guys have something going on and you're busy, I don't know if that's going to work with your schedule, but at least Backwards Brian says, nah, we're good. Good. At least we'll have one person there, me and Backwards Brian. Obviously, if you're a member, you can watch it in its entirety whenever you want to. It's just that you can't ask questions live as we're taking them on the show if you're not there with us live. Matt in Calgary, I'm not ready for football just yet. Still more summer to live. I feel the same way. It's August the 3rd. We still have a full month to go before the NFL kicks off. There's preseason, but real football kicking off a month from now. It's not speeded up, especially if you live in Calgary or like me in the Northeast or a cold weather climate. You're not ready for falls, leaves changing and falling and all that. You're not ready for cold weather just yet. So we're going to slow things down here. It's still baseball, but that smell of football certainly in the air. Matt says, death, taxes, the Cowboys soap opera. Never ceases to amaze. And the only thing that's amazing about it is that Jerry somehow doesn't realize that the soap opera is defeating en route to winning. He's had 30 years of evidence that he should change things, and yet he thinks this is the proper way to do things. And at no point in time is it ever going to behoove the Cowboys in being a soap opera, and thus it's just more of the same. Matt's back, and he says, Marv Levy was born at a time where Mraz didn't think pancakes existed yet and lived long enough to see an era where people fall in love with AI chatbots. I mean, that's a pretty amazing thought right there. Yes, Mraz once upon a time thought that pancakes were created in the 50s. I forget exactly when, but this came up at a Stunned to a News, I believe. But today, from 1925 to today, and people falling in love with AI and, asking them to marry them. What Marv must think about the world at large. Now, we love this because we have Hurricane Jen in the chat tonight. And somebody asked Jen what she's up to. And Jen answered, well, I'm planting pumpkins. Why? Because Ozzy Osbourne died. I mean, this is why Hurricane Jen is an icon in her own right. I'm sure many of you were sad to see Ozzy go, even though he made it to 76 years old, longer than so many of us could have ever expected, everybody. Ozzy might have been part of your youth. You might have loved all of his music and went to his concerts and listened to his records or his cassette tapes or his CDs on loop. But how many of you went the extra step to plant pumpkins as well? I ask you that. Okay? I ask you that. Only Hurricane Jen, I would say. Ralph says, I'm here to announce that the D-Aliens Mothership Fantasy Football League draft will be held on Sunday, August 17th at 7:30 Central Time. If you want to join the Mothership Fantasy Football League draft, I'm not in it. I gave up the crack of fantasy football a couple of years ago. But there you go. I believe that's open to everybody. I'm not sure. If Ralph's putting it there, there must be some open slots. If not, he's just doing a PSA to the people that are in it that are also in this chat. But perhaps there's some open slots. Reach out to Ralph if you want to be part of the D-Aliens Mothership Fantasy Football League. Not sure how many teams that you can have, but my guess is Ralph's a good dude. He might just hook you up if you want to be part of that and become part of a tighter group that's playing a little fantasy football here. Backwards Brian says, DA, did you get some advice from Jody Mack going to the track? I did not. I reached out to nobody. I actually like not having any idea about any of the horses. You have to kind of like walk me through even betting on horses when I get up there. It's like I asked for one of the horses by name, and the teller said, you got to give me the number of the horse. I don't know all the names. Oh, right. Okay. Win, place, show, place. Which one's show? Which one's play? Right. Eventually I got there. I came out, I think, $10 ahead. It's a win. I was betting $5 a horse, or $5 a race. How about I see a new name here, and that is the Tuba Sun God. My back is out, and I'm choosing beer over ibuprofen tonight. You know, you can't get addicted to beer. Well, actually, you can. You definitely can. But I know it's less dangerous than ibuprofen. Actually, might not be. Might be more dangerous. So screw everything that I just said. But we're glad that you're here nonetheless. An ice cold beer feels a little bit better on the back, doesn't it? Maybe it doesn't. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm not an ibuprofen. I'm not an aspirin ibuprofen guy. A cold beer is a little bit better for me. Brian says, DA takes the beer bus to the racetrack. That's right. A Labatt Blue Light bus. I'd ride that all night long. B Squared says, why is there no custom shot glass beer bottle wine emoji? That should have been in the top 2, at least a beer bong hat or some type of keg stand emoji. Okay, interesting. So we need a keg stand emoji or a beer bong hat. These are the requests coming from the D-Aliens. We are working on the next custom emoji to use, and I will certainly B Squared take this into account. I wish you and I could share a keg stand at some point in time. Maybe we will. I haven't done a keg stand in a long, long time, but for you, B Squared, my man goes back to the Kansas City days of 15 years ago. I'd do it for you. If not, I would definitely wear that beer helmet at the very. Now I'm back. I mean, you see, when you let me run the controls, only horrible things can happen. And Craig says, how about a Labatt Blue Light emoji? Or is that copyright infringement? I don't know. It's probably not a great idea for us to actually use brands with our custom emojis. I don't have enough money to win that lawsuit, so I'll just keep it as generic as possible. Be like when you eat generic cereal and go, I know what that's supposed to be, but you're calling it something completely different. But I know. And yes, I just disappeared because the Wizard of Watch DA, which is Andrew Kaplan, taught everything he knew to Aiden, and the Market Marvel is not here, leaving me to my own devices. Jack is working everything behind the scenes and doing a bang-up job. He's doing great. For me, I'm going through the comments, and so I shut myself off. So that's what happens when I'm the one that is doing it. Randy says, The mothership just time traveled in warp speed or something. And B Squared, I thought DA got beamed into Ice Cube's latest movie. It's the new Sharknado. That movie is terrible. And I'll leave you with this. Ben Bozo, 5 more new members to fund DA's next lawsuit. That's right. If we find 5 new members, then maybe we can get away with a custom emoji that's actually of a brand name. And we'll try to fight that lawsuit. Only the best money can buy. Like I said before, let's make sure we remind everybody, Mr. Jack, that we have Friday night Ask DA Anything. That's right. Ask DA Live comes your way 7 o'clock Eastern time on Friday. It's for members here on YouTube. So if you're a member, great. I will see you then. You can ask anything that you want, and we will dive into some of the craziness. I think last time I mentioned I would discuss how I left Kansas City, because that was a tumultuous exit. There are some of you that remember how tumultuous it was. Maybe I will end up digging into that. I think I promised that last time, so I'll make sure I make good on that promise. But everything is on the table. All radio questions, all personal questions, all everything questions. It's all on the table. So come with us on Friday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time, but you got to be a member, so make sure you are joined by clicking on this button above me. Okay, everybody? That's the way that it's going to go down on Friday night. Thanks, everybody, for making it happen on this Friday night and on this Sunday night. And I know timing was a little bit off, but thanks for sticking with us because it was a daddy daycare night. So I had to make sure we could move a few things around. Jack Knight did a great job as executive producer on the show. Great job, dude. Thanks, everybody, all the D-aliens for watching and listening tonight. I know that I started this thing late, so I'll get you out here early. 1 hour, and we are washing our hands clean. Thanks so much, everybody, for being with us on this fine Sunday night. Stick around on Friday because we have got Ask DA Anything. Be good to one another. I will see you tomorrow morning on the DA Show with Babchick, Sirius XM Channel 82. Until then, have a great night, everybody. I am DA, and the mothership disconnect.